Naku po, ang China mga kapatid naghahanda na daw no para sa naval war against India mga kapatid. So kalaban nila ang India rito, no? Ito panonoorin natin 'to mga tol, mga mula to sa international media, WION ang pangalan ng kanilang YouTube channel mga tol. Ayan Gravitas. China prepares for naval war against India mga kapatid. Etong India kamakailan lang ay nagpahayag ng suporta sa Pilipinas at etong India mga kapatid ay kasama sa BRICS no, sa BRICS kasama diyan ng India. So kasama rin doon ng China mga kapatid no. So eto ang China daw ay naghahanda na. So panoorin natin 'to mga kapatid at bigyan natin 'to ng reaction video. Pero bago yan syempre sana huwag mo kalimutan mag-subscribe no. Click mo na rin ng notification bell para ma-notify ka kapag may mga bago tayong reaction video tulad nito. So wag na natin patagalin pa mga tol, panoorin na natin tong balita.
China is preparing for a sea war against India and America. Let me repeat that. China is preparing for a sea war against India and the US.
Oh, kasama pa pala US, no? India and US. Kakakayanin mo ba yan? Dalawang malaking bansa yan?
Chinese President Xi Jinping has already sounded the war bugle. He has met a delegation of the People's Liberation Army, also China's armed police force. He told the teams to start preparations. What kind exactly? The security teams have been told to build cyberspace defense systems.
Ito yung binalita nung nakaraan ng GMA7 mga tol no. Ito yung binigyan natin ng reaction video. So ang balak nilang labanan mga kapatid ay ang India at Amerika no sa karagatan mga kapatid.
Improve the ability to maintain national security. The Chinese state broadcaster quoted Xi asking the Chinese armed forces to coordinate the preparations for maritime military conflicts, the protection of maritime rights and interests, and the developments of the maritime economy. Just look at the timing of this comment. There has been a flare-up in the South China Sea, one that the Philippines is calling the most serious yet. The Chinese Coast Guard has been ramming its ships into Philippine vessels.
Yeah.
There were two such incidents this week. First, a Chinese Coast Guard ship crashed into a Philippine Coast Guard ship.
O kita mo, nababalitaan na talaga ng buong mundo mga tol. Diba? Naalalaman ng buong mundo mga kapatid kung anong ginagawa ng China sa Pilipinas.
Just an hour later, the Coast Guard ship attacked a Filipino supply vessel. The boat was blocked, harassed, and water cannoned.
Alam na alam mga kapatid, di ba?
And then the Chinese Coast Guard boat collided against it. We have the visuals for you. Let's play them now.
Ayun na. Itong video to, China naglabas nito. Ano, pinapalabas nila mga kapatid, dito sa video to pinapalabas ng China, sinasabi nila, baliktad sinasabi nila na ang Pilipinas daw mga tol, ang bumangga sa kanila mga tol. Kahoy yan, para sa mga hindi nakakaalam, no? Kahoy ito Di ba? Imagine mo nga mga tol kung tayo babangga sa kanila. Ba't natin gagawin yung kahoy na bangka natin, ibabangga natin sa kanila, di ba?
Do you see what China has been up to? It is escalating tensions, trying to trigger a war at sea.
Tama, no? Nakikita nyo ba kung ano ginagawa ng China? Ne-escalate nila mga kapatid yung tensyon at talagang gusto nila ng ayaw nila ng kapayapaan, kabaliktaran doon sa sinasabi nila na gusto daw nila ng katahimikan, gusto daw nila ng kapayapaan, pero napakalayo mga tol sa ginagawa nila.
All the while singing sermons of peace on land. Just yesterday, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi gave an unsolicited advice to other countries. Don't take sides in the South China Sea, he said. Here's a quote. We will not allow goodwill to be abused, nor will we tolerate the distortion of maritime law in the face of deliberate infringements. We will take justified actions to defend our rights in accordance with the law.
Ito yung nakakainis sa kanila mga tol no? Ito yung nakakainis sa kanila kahit alam naman ng buong mundo na labag sila sa batas, labag sa batas yung ginagawa nila. Ang titigas pa rin ang mga mukha nilang gamitin yung word na law. No, in accordance with the law, sabi niya gano'n, deliberately infringements, we will take justified actions to defend our rights in accordance with the law. Kulang dapat with the law of China. Kasi batas lang naman nila ang kinikilala nila, mga kapatid eh. Hindi naman nila kinikilala yung batas ng international o batas ng UNCLOS, mga tol. Wala silang pakialam dun eh. Diba? In accordance with the law pa sinasabi nito, yun yung nakakainis sa kanila, mga kapatid eh. Anga-angahan eh.
Infringements, we will take justified actions to defend our rights in accordance with the law. In the face of unwarranted provocations, we will respond with prompt and legitimate countermeasures. We all
Baliktad na baliktad eh, no? In the face of unwarranted provocations. Wow.
provocations, we will respond with prompt and legitimate countermeasures. We also advise certain countries outside the region not to stir up trouble, take sides, and become disruptors and instigators in the South China Sea. Which countries do you think China is referring to?
America.
The United States and India.
India, Australia, di ba? Marami na eh. Australia, isa na rin yan sa kalabanin nila, mga tol.
Let's go one by one now. Like we have been telling you, the US and the Philippines have a defense agreement. So if one country is attacked, the other one must come to its aid. So far, the Philippines President, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., or Bongbong Marcos as he's called, has insisted that the time has not yet come to invoke the clause of the Security Pact.
Yeah.
But what happens now that she has sounded the war bugles and insisted on starting preparation for war? Marcos is already calling Chinese conduct alarmist. Let me quote him. I think that we cannot view this in any way but in the most serious way, he says. How long before Marcos requests the US for help? China is already preparing for that eventuality. Also for a possible confrontation with India. Beijing has already laid the foundation for a possible outpost in the Indian backyard. If you're thinking the Maldives, then you're on the correct path.
Minsan talaga in China, kailangan nila ng kaltok, mga tol. Kailangan nila yan para magising sila, mga tol. Masyado silang abusado.
Backyard. If you're thinking the Maldives, then you're on the correct path. Earlier this week, China signed a security agreement with the Maldives. The contents are a secret. The deal was signed a day before India commissioned the INS Jatayu in Minicoy, just some 100-odd kilometers from the Maldives. India is expanding its navy, equipping it with modern machines, commissioning new bases, jetties, machinery. Earlier this week, the Indian Navy commissioned a squadron of the MH-60 helicopter. These choppers come with anti-submarine warfare capabilities. Simply put, they will be able to spot Chinese submarines, regardless of how deep they are hiding in the sea. India and the US have signed a deal for 24 MH-60 choppers. They will all be in India by 2025. China has clearly threatened. Beijing wishes to militarize the Indian Ocean. It has tricked countries into acquiring ports in the Indian Ocean, starting from Sri Lanka's Hambantota port to the Gwadar port in Pakistan.
Pero mo, may problema rin pala sila sa India, mga tol, no? Grabe talaga ton China, no? Gusto awayin lahat eh.
China also has presence in Bangladesh's Chittagong port, in the Dorile port in Djibouti. And now, China is pulling the strings in the Maldives. On paper, it may have managed to acquire strategic locations encircling India, but who rules the waters these ports surround? Beijing's dreams of dominating the Indian Ocean have been shattered by India's formidable navy. India is now also building a naval base in the Great Nicobar. It overlooks the Strait of Malacca, the water body from which 80% of China's oil supplies pass. The power and potential of the Indian Navy has been on display in recent weeks. It has been saving ships from all forms of terror in the sea, from the Somali pirates to the Houthi rebels. India has proven itself as the hero of the high sea. So here's the thing. China can prepare for a sea war against India all it wants. It can prepare for a sea war against the US too. But does it even have a chance at victory? Look at the Chinese naval force vis-a-vis the Indian Navy and the US Navy.
Diba? Oo, sige, prepare kayo. Gusto nyo mag-prepare. Diba? Gusto nyo maghanda anytime, any day. Diba? Ang tanong, may chance ka bang manalo? Yan ang tanong, diba? May chance ka bang manalo?
Look at the Chinese naval force vis-a-vis the Indian Navy and the US Navy. Some stats. The Chinese Navy has around 350 ships. The Indian Navy has 150. The US 280. Naval aircraft. PLA Navy a little over 700. India 400. The US over 4,000.
Wow, ang dami no, naval aircraft mga tol, oh, ships. Oh, 350 sa China, 150 sa India, 280 sa US. So kung pagsasamahin mo ang India at US, di hamak na mas marami sila. So naval aircraft, 712 sa China, 300 sa India, onti lang, wala pa sa kalahati. Pero 4,012 naman sa US. Oh. Aircraft carriers, dalawa sa China, dalawa sa India, 11 sa US. Destroyers, 49 sa China, 12 sa India, 92 sa US. No, frigates, 44 sa China, o lamang sila rito. 12 sa India at 6 lang sa US. Sa corvettes naman, 77 sa China, 18 sa India at 22 sa US. Submarine 79, 17, 68, hindi nalalayo, pero lahat nilamon sila nung naval aircraft eh.
Aircraft carriers. India and the PLA 2 each. The US 11 destroyers. PLA Navy 49, India 12, US Navy 92. We have also put the numbers for the frigates, the corvettes and submarines for you to see. So I ask,
Oh, eto pa. Oh, sige, marami rin silang barko, di ba? Tanong, may experience na ba yung mga yan? May experience na ba yung mga yan? O eto mga tol, tanong, di ba? Tanong, sa isang labanan, ano ang mas maaasahan mo? Yung babad sa practice tapos first time sa field? O yung sa field mismo nagpa-practice mga tol at sa field mismo nahahasa? Alam naman natin mga tol yung US. Marami ng labang sinabakan yan. Marami ng laban ang talagang dinaanan at pinasukan yan mga tol. So kumbaga sa isang mandirigma, veterano na talaga yan. Kesa naman nitong China mga tol, no? Yung mga barko nila wala pang bahid ng paikipaglaban eh. Wala pang mga dungis yan eh. Wala pang mga dungis yan eh. Kaya nga hindi mo pasubok kung talaga matibay ba eh. Diba? Kita mo yung mga eroplano nila mga tol, wala pang mga mantsa yun eh.
which side do you think is the stronger one, China or the combined navies of India and the United States?
United States.
We are not even factoring in the navies of the American allies who will be bound to join in this war. So there goes China's plan for taking on India and America at sea. WION World is...
Alright mga kapatid, ikaw bilang isang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo dito sa video na panood natin? Pwede ka magkomento, pwede ka magbigay ng iyong saloobin at opinion sa comment section natin sa ibaba. Maraming salamat sa panonood. Hanggang sa muli, ako nga pala si Shobal D. Peace out.